Hello friends, in this video I will explain you how to design an axially loaded isolated pad footing. So let's say I want to design a footing for a column of size 350 mm by 350 mm and the column is reinforced with 8 bars of 16 mm dia and carrying a compressive load of 800 kN. The allowable bearing pressure on the soil is 200 kN per meter square and I want to design an isolated pad footing of M20 grade concrete and Fe415 grade steel. So here the size of the column is 350 mm by 350 mm. The load is 800 kN. The allowable bearing pressure of soil is 200. FCK is 20. Fy is 415. And I am assuming the clear cover as 50 mm. Now initially we don't know the self weight of the footing. So we will assume that the self weight of the footing will be equal to 10% of the column load. So 0.10 times of 800. So the self weight of the footing is 80 kN. Now the next step is to proportion the footing. So the total load on the footing is nothing but the load on the column, that is 800, plus self weight of the footing, that is 80 kN. So the total load is 880 kN. Now the area of the footing required, which is equal to the total load on the footing divided by the allowable bearing pressure. So total load is 880 and divided by the allowable bearing pressure, which is 200 kN per meter square. So I will get the area of the footing required as 4.40 meter square. Please note that while calculating the area of the footing, we will use the unfactored loads, that is the characteristic loads. This is because in the formula of the area of the footing, we have used the term that is called as allowable bearing pressure, and the value of the allowable bearing pressure that is given by the geotechnical engineer will be taken into consideration by taking a very high factor of safety. So already a high factor of safety of 2.5 to 3 is considered in the allowable bearing pressure. Hence we will use the unfactored loads for calculating the area of the footing. So once we have the area of the footing, we can calculate the dimensions of the footing required. So here the column is a square column, so we will provide a square footing. So for a square footing, the area dimension of the footing will be nothing but square root of the area of the footing. So minimum I need to provide 2.098 meter by 2.098 meter footing. So I have assumed that the footing size is 2.1 meter by 2.1 meter. So the area of the footing will be 2.1 by 2.1, which is 4.41 meter square. The next step is to calculate the net upward pressure. So the formula for net upward pressure is equal to the factor load on the column divided by the area of the footing provided. So factor load on the column will be 1.5 times the 800 and divided by the area of the footing provided, that is 4.41 meter square. So that is 272.11 kilonewton per meter square. Please note that the net, in the calculation of the net upward pressure, we are using the factored column load and not the factored total load. That is, in the net upward pressure, we will not include the self weight of the footing. This is because the self weight of the footing does not induce any shear or bending moment in the footing. Hence, while calculating the net upward pressure, we will only use the factored column load. So now we will calculate the moment steel in both the directions. But in order to calculate the moment steel, we need the values of bending moments in both the directions. So in the case of the footings, the design of the footing is similar to that of a cantilever slab. So the maximum bending moment in the case of the footing is maximum at the face of the column. So here at this black dotted line, the bending moment will be maximum. So in order to calculate the maximum bending moment at this section, what I need is, I need the value of this cantilever portion, that is from this black dotted line to the extreme end of the footing. So once I have this cantilever length, and if I know the UDL that is acting over this cantilever length, I can easily calculate the bending moment in the cantilever portion, that is W into L square by 2. And similarly in the y direction also, the UDL over this cantilever portion multiplied by the length square of this cantilever portion divided by 2. So WL y square by 2. So the length of the cantilever in the x direction, which is equal to half of 2.1 meter. So half of 2.1 meter. So I will reach this red line. Now half of 2.1 meter minus half of this column dimension. So I will reach here to the black line. So the cantilever portion length will be equal to half of 2.1 minus half of the column dimension, that is half of 0.35 meter. So I will get the cantilever lengths in both the directions. And similarly UDL. So UDL is nothing but the upward pressure multiplied by the dimension of the footing. So if I want the UDL in the x direction, I will multiply the net upward pressure by the dimension in the x direction. And similarly UDL in the y direction will be equal to the net upward pressure multiplied by the length in the y direction. So once I have the UDL in both the direction and the length of cantilevers in both the direction, I will calculate the bending moment, that is nothing but WL square by 2. And once I know the design bending moment, that is nothing but maximum of MUX and MUY, which is same in this case, I will calculate the required depth of the footing. The required depth is nothing but MU divided by Q limit into B. Now the required depth is coming as 198.03 mm. So I will assume the overall depth of 480 mm. Why I am assuming the very high overall depth is, this is because the design of the footing is generally governed by the shear. Now I will assume the diameter of bar as 12 mm and I will calculate the effective depth in both the directions. So the effective depth in the x direction is given by the overall depth of the footing minus clear cover minus dia of bar by 2, and similarly the effective depth in the y direction will be equal to the effective depth in the x direction minus dia of meter of bar. So once I have the effective depths, I have the bending moments in both the directions. So I will provide the reinforcement as per the bending moments in both the directions. So this step is similar to what I have done in my previous videos. So here the bending moment, here I have provided in the x direction 14 bars of 12 mm dia at 70 mm center to center, and in the y direction 14 bars of 12 mm dia at 70 mm center to center. Now the check for one-way shear. So along the x direction, we know that the one-way shear is critical at a distance of d from the face of the column. So now I want to know that what is the shear force at this section, at this black dotted line. What is the shear force? So in order to get the shear force at this section, the formula for shear force is equal to whatever the upward pressure is there, whatever the upward pressure, that is here in this case the net upward pressure is 272.11 kilonewton per meter square multiplied by the hedged area will give you the shear force. So the upward shear force is 272 multiplied by the area of this hedged portion. So for this hedged portion, I already know this length, that is here 2.1 meter. So I want this length. So how to get this length? We know that half of this will be 2.1 by 2 minus half of column dimension will, and then I will reach this black line, and again if I subtract dx, then I will reach again this section. So what I am doing is here half of the column, half of the footing dimension, that is here 2.10 divided by 2 minus half of the column dimension, and again minus effective depth. So if I do that, then I will get the width along the x direction over this hedged area, and similarly multiplied by 2.1 and multiplied by the effective depth, multiplied by the upward net upward pressure. So basically the formula for calculating the shear force is nothing but the net upward pressure multiplied by the hedged area. So once I know the shear force, I will calculate the tau v, that is nothing but Vu divided by Bd. and I will calculate the design shear strength of concrete, that is tau C. So tau V should not exceed the tau V value. Tau V should not exceed the tau C value. So here it is okay. But along the Y direction, the tau V is exceeding the tau C value. So what we will do is we will increase the overall depth of the section. So overall depth of the section is 480. So here I will take here 490. So now the check for one-way shear is satisfied in both the directions. The check for one-way shear in along the Y direction is also will also remain the same. That is, we will consider a section at a distance of dy from the face of the column, and we will calculate the shear force in the similar manner. The next step is the check for two-way shear. Now the two-way shear is critical at a distance of d by 2 from the face of the column. So from the face of the column, in the right side I will go in the distance of d by 2. In the upward side I will take a distance of d by 2, and in the left side and in the bottom side at a distance of d by 2 I will make the critical section for two-way shear. So now the width at a distance of d by 2 along x, that is this width. So this width is nothing but, I know the width of the column, and in both the directions I have to go d by 2 and d by 2. So overall I will go d. But what is my d? That is the average effective depth. So average effective depth is nothing but dx plus dy divided by 2. So the width along this x direction will be nothing but width of the column plus d by 2 and d by 2 from both the sides. So overall I will add d in the column dimension. So column dimension is 350 and plus d will be 428. So I will get a 778 mm. Similarly in the y direction, the column width in the y direction and d by 2 in both the directions. So now I will calculate the critical perimeter. So critical perimeter for this section, which is at a distance of d by 2 in all the four sides, I will calculate the perimeter. So perimeter is for a square is nothing but 778 plus 778 plus 778 plus 778. So the critical perimeter is 3112 mm, and the net upward pressure, which we have already calculated, is 272.11 kilonewton per meter square. Here the total area of the foundation that we have provided is 4.41 meter square. Now what will be the critical area for shear? So the critical area for shear will be 778 multiplied by 778 and dividing it by 10 to the power 6 to convert it into mm square. So the critical area for shear is 778 multiplied by 778 divided by 10 to the power 6. Now the factored shear force, which is equal to the net upward pressure multiplied by capital A minus small a, where capital A is the total area of foundation and small a is the critical area for shear. So the factored shear force will come out to be 1035.3 kilonewton. And similarly we will calculate the tau V value for this factored shear force and the tau C value. And the tau V value should not exceed the tau C value, hence the check for two-way shear is satisfied. Now next step is the transfer of load from the column to the footing. So whatever the load that is coming on the column, that load we need to safely transfer it to the footing. Now the load will be transferred to the footing with the help of bearing stresses, that is with the help of compressive stresses. Now we should check that the foundation and the column is able to take the load of 1200 kilonewton. That is 1200 kilonewton is nothing but the factor load, that is 1.5 times of 800. So our column and foundation is able to take a factor load of 1200 kilonewton with the help of compressive stresses. So that we will check. So the bearing stresses or compressive stresses is given by 0.45 into FCK into square root of A1 by A2. Now at the column face, A1 is equal to A2 is equal to the area of the column. So area of the column is 350 by 350 mm square. So it is 122,500. And the bearing stress formula is here 0.45 into FCK into square root of A1 by A2. So 0.45 into FCK is 20 Newton per mm square and into square root of A1 by A2. So here A1 by A2 will be 1, because in the case of column face A1 will be equal to A2. So the bearing stress is 9 Newton per mm square. Similarly, at the footing face, A1 will be equal to the area of the footing. So area of the footing is 4.41 meter square, and dividing it by and multiplying it by 10 to the power 6 to convert it into mm square. So A1 is the area of footing and A2 is the area of the column. So square root of A1 by A2 will be equal to 6, but this value should not exceed 2. So we will use here 2 as the value of A1 by square root of A1 by A2. So the bearing stress again we will calculate at the footing face, which is nothing but again 0.45 into FCK into square root of A1 by A2. So here 0.45 FCK into square root of A1 by A2 will be here 2, because it is exceeding the maximum value of 2. So here square root of A1 by A2 we will use it as 2. So the bearing stress is coming out as 18 Newton per mm square. So here the bearing stress for column is 9, while for the footing face it is 18. So here the critical phase is the column phase, because the bearing stress is 9 Newton per mm square. So we will calculate that with the help of this bearing stress, how much load the column is able to transfer it to the footing. So the column is able to transfer a load of 1102.5 kilonewton. That is here 9 multiplied by the area of the column, that is 9 multiplied by 122,500, and multiplying it by 10 to the power of minus 3 to convert it into kilonewton. So 9 multiplied by 12250 will give me 1102.5 kilonewton. So the column is able to transfer only 1102.5 kilonewton into the footing, but we need to transfer a load of 1200 kilonewton. So we need to transfer an excess force of 97.5 kilonewton. So this excess force will be transferred to the footing with the help of by providing dowel bars, or by continuing the column bars into the footing. So what we will do here is, whatever the bars we have provided in the column, we will extend it inside the footing. So if we have provided 8 bars of 16 mm dia, so we will extend all the bars inside the footing, and we have proportioned the footing as 2.1 meter by 2.1 meter. We have provided 13 bars of 12 mm dia in the x direction and 14 bars of 12 mm dia in the y direction, and we have provided the overall depth of the footing as 490 mm. So this completes the design of isolated pad footings. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.